From the makers of The Only One Bulking, The Only One Cutting, The Only One Training Abs, The Only One Doing Cardio, and The Only One Bathing comes the highly anticipated I Am The Only One Training Arms. So how did I grow my arms the fastest, you may ask? Well, you are not going to like the answer to that one. I have been lifting for over 5 years now, and just by pure cross-dimensional surface area, my arms grew by far the most after 5 months of employing this one simple tactic. Now, what is that tactic, and do you guys really think I'm going to let you know what it is for free? That's because none of you are capable of doing it anyway. It was by becoming the living embodiment of the bulk, the only one bulking. By becoming the only one bulking, and becoming obese, my arms grew by just over an inch in 5 months. Honestly unheard of, especially this many years into training, but I am simply one of a kind, constructed differently. But what does size even mean without definition? My arms looked way worse and smaller than before I became the incredible bulk. So I'll give you some actual advice on how to grow your arms as best as possible, without becoming morbidly obese as a side effect. Let me just start out by saying that if you want your arms to look big, you should not focus on hitting the triceps more than the biceps, no matter how often you've heard it being said. The people that say this are gatekeeping the actual trick to the big juicy arms. Or should I say having big looking arms. Just have a look at Arnold Schwarzenegger's arms, for example. I mean, his arms were massive, but what actually made them pop was the insane size of the bicep in particular, not the tricep. As you can see, it's not like he didn't train them. Here's Arnold hitting a signature side tricep. The biceps are what gave the arm the wow factor. Like my arms here, for example, they are only around 15, maybe 15.5 inches if it's not cold outside. I can usually squeeze out another half an inch, but they look a lot bigger because of how seriously impressive my biceps are. To build massive looking arms, you should train biceps and triceps with roughly the same amount of volume. If you wanted to focus on either the biceps or the triceps to make your arm look bigger, I would always focus on the biceps. You do not need a dedicated day for arms. Whenever you train back, you work your biceps, and whenever you train shoulders or chest, you work your triceps as well. So it's more efficient to just do your bicep work after a back session, or your tricep work after a chest or shoulder session. This makes it so that you do not need to actually do that many sets or exercises to work them sufficiently. Honestly, just 1 or 2 is fine, maybe even 3 if you're really pushing it. Just make sure you train them isolated and to failure, and you'll be massive regardless. Obviously not as massive, thick, juicy, striated and succulent as me. I'm also not saying a dedicated arm day would be bad. Maybe it would work for some people, you would have to try it to find out. But for me and many others, it's just a complete waste of time, and I saw way better results when I trained them at the end of my push or pull workouts than on a bro split. On to the important things. So for big bulging biceps, I do 3 exercises, usually at the end of my pull session. The first is heavy cheat curls. A lot of people hate cheat reps, but honestly, as long as you are not gloating over how heavy you can allegedly lift with terrible form and focus on controlling the eccentric, these are actually great. They allow you to overload your biceps with more weight than you could lift up with strict form. That's because on the eccentric part of the movement, you can usually control a lot more weight on the way down than you can actually lift in the first place. So honestly, I don't care how much you cheat, as long as you get the weight up and control it down. I do 3 sets all to failure. My second exercise is spider curls. These are by far my favourite exercise to ever exist. Not only do you put the cake on display to the other people in the gym, so they get to enjoy that, they are also just an extremely good exercise, especially at the top of the movement for the biceps. The trick with this exercise is it is actually form over everything else. You can't cheat on everything in life and succeed, but a little cheating, like on the cheat curls, is fine. But on this, focus on controlling the reps, utilizing full range of motion, squeezing at the top of every rep. Since this is my last exercise for biceps, I will always drop set it. So I'll start with 30 kilograms for as many as I can, drop it to 20 kilograms for as many as I can, and maybe even drop it again. But always make sure your form is the same. This is to push the muscle as hard as I can. If I did a drop set like this on one of my first exercises, I would not have the energy to push myself later on. So I always save the drop sets for the last exercise per muscle. No more than 3 sets, all to failure. The third exercise, whilst not technically a direct bicep exercise, is a hammer curl that actually works the muscle that runs under your arm, the brachialis. But by training this, it will make your arm overall thicker even though you cannot directly see the muscle. hammer curls are a perfect option. Or, if you're feeling naughty, do some spider hammer curls. I honestly believe that if you just do any exercise in a spider version, it is just better. Now, before we get into the triceps, I can't help but notice that despite me putting out absolutely deviously legendary content, only 85% of my audience, that's you, yes you guys, that are watching my content right now, are not subscribed. And that is honestly pathetic. I couldn't even imagine what it's like to not be me, never mind not even be subscribed to me. Pick up your game. How do you plan on getting cut and becoming the most dry, lean and conditioned specimen when the only way that that is possible is if you know when I am no longer cutting? Tickle that subscribe button. But that's not all. Make sure you turn on that bell notification, you bottom scranners. Now onto the tyrannical tyrannus triceps. Same thing with the biceps essentially. I always do these at the very end of a push session. So my triceps have already been worked. Start off with a superset of skull crushers. You can either bring them to your forehead like the name of the exercise suggests, or if you are a little bitch, I suppose you can bring them behind your head. Then superset that into close grip bench with the same weight you use for skull crushers. It may be light, but since it's right after it should be difficult. Take both sets to failure. I do 3 sets of this as well. Lastly, my favourite tricep exercise would have to be the assisted dip machine. Now you may be thinking, why do assisted dips when you have so much pure lean contractile tissue as me? Surely bodyweight dips are just better. Well, you are right, I am insanely muscular, but I do these at the end of my push session. So in order to make sure it is in fact my tricep that are the limiting factor when I train dips to failure, I always do assisted ones as upright as possible. As if I did bodyweight dips, it's usually my chest or my shoulders that give out before my triceps. Again, every set is taken to failure and I also drop set this exercise. Last tip is honestly you have to realise that why your arms or any other muscle isn't growing is not because you are doing the wrong exercises, it's probably because you are training like a bitch, not really pushing yourself. Or maybe it's the opposite, and nobody is training harder than you, and you aren't recovering properly. However, I doubt that is the case as nobody trains harder than me. In fact, I'm the only one training. That being said, make sure you are truly pushing yourself and sleep and nutrition is on point, and honestly it won't matter what exercises you do, you will grow regardless. If you need any supplements, protein powder, pre-workout or creatine, allegedly if you click the link in the description and use code Hancock you will always get the fattest discount possible on the MyProtein website. Now honestly this is what I did to grow my arms. You could do exactly everything I do and never even come close to how big, bulbous and succulent my arms are, because I am the only one training arms. The exercise selection really does not matter that much. Simply just pick a few exercises that you like for biceps and triceps and train them hard at least 2 times a week and you will see results. But obviously not results as good as mine. I'm the only one cutting. Nobody is simultaneously